Well, welcome to our Christian Life and Ministry meeting for this week. I have a really nice program in store. To start us off, if you're able to stand, please stand, and we'll sing song number 135, Jehovah's Warm Appeal, Be Wise, My Son. Then we'll open our meeting with a word of prayer. Well, what do we have to look forward to tonight, friends? In our treasures from God's Word, let's see how this talk can motivate us to avoid displeasing Jehovah. Our digging for gems. Notice what the Israelites were doing that displeased Jehovah. Then we look forward to our student part. Encourage a Bible student that's dealing with family opposition. And this is something that maybe some of us here have struggled with or gone through. Maybe we're going through it at the moment. So we look forward to that part. Then we have our update number 7. Congregation Bible Study. We see what we can learn from David and Goliath and David and Saul. So now to start our meeting off, we invite Brother Joshua Broncos to the platform, and he'll deliver the Treasures talk, Jehovah Had a Right to Expect More.
Why is it that so many people enjoy gardening? I am no gardener myself, but what I've heard that it can take a lot of effort, especially when establishing a garden for the first time. This work might include weeding, removing rocks and debris, tilling and fertilizing the soil, and ensuring the right amount of sunlight and drainage. It sounds like a lot of hard work, but King Solomon reminds us that we can find joy in that reminds us that finding joy in our labor is in fact a gift from God. The satisfaction comes when our energy and care come together and gradually produce something greater than the sum of its parts. And whether it's gardening or some other activity that we enjoy, we all at the end can step back and admire the hard work that we've done. Isaiah provides us with a similar illustration of a grape farmer. This farmer similarly invested time and energy into establishing his vineyard. We can read of his account at Isaiah chapter 5. He no doubt looked forward to seeing his efforts pay off. So for a moment, let us step into his shoes as we read Isaiah 5, starting at halfway through verse 1. Here it says, "My beloved," that is the grape farmer, "he had a vineyard on a fruitful hillside." Note what he did. He dug it up and rid it of stones. He planted in it a choice red vine. He built a tower in the middle of it. He hewed out a winepress in it. So these words are but a glimpse of all the hard work that he did. And we can just get a sense of how much he cared for his vineyard by that hard work that he was willing to do for it. But is this just a story about a farmer? Well, no. Look to verse 7. Here it says who the vineyard belongs to. It says, "For the vineyard of Jehovah of armies." But the vineyard also represents something else. What is it? It's the house of Israel. The men of Judah are the plantation he was fond of. So this illustration really is about all that Jehovah did for his people Israel, to ensure that they would produce good fruits. Now, with this in mind, what lessons can we learn from what Jehovah did for his figurative vineyard? Well, it starts there. He cleared stones. He dug it up and rid it of stones. This is likened to Jehovah removing the Canaanites from the land and making way for the Israelites to settle in their promised fertile land. Then he plants a choice red vine. Jehovah selected Israel as his special people, giving them a covenant relationship. Then he goes on to build a tower. Such a tower provided a lookout against thieves and animals looking to take the fruitage. Some scholars believe that it was more common to build a temporary structure like a hut or booth, but this farmer goes above and beyond, building a stone tower. It can be likened to how Jehovah went above and beyond to provide protection and oversight through the priests, prophets, and kings to safeguard the spiritual welfare of his people. This was of utmost importance to him. And lastly, he hewed out a winepress. This farmer had a goal in mind with this vineyard, and so too Jehovah had a goal with having his people produce fine fruits of righteousness. So having made those provisions, Jehovah reasonably expected justice, righteousness, and faithful obedience from his people. But what was the outcome? Well, let's go back to verse 2. Look at the end. Then he kept hoping for it to produce grapes, but it produced only wild grapes. Now, as non-farmers, before we can understand Jehovah's reaction, we need to answer the question, what is a wild grape? Well, the June 2006 Watchtower explains it this way. It says wild grapes are much smaller than cultivated grapes, and they have very little flesh. And it goes further to explain that such grapes are thus worthless for making wine or even for eating. And the Oxford Dictionary adds the point that the word wild in relation to flora means to show little or show no sign of cultivation or care. So how could this be? We've just learned of all that Jehovah had done for his people to ensure a positive and fruitful outcome. Yet here he is left with nothing but wild grapes. In fact, this causes Jehovah to ask a heavy-hearted question at Isaiah 5 verse 4. There it reads, "What more could I have done for my vineyard?" Jehovah acknowledges that he did everything he could. To get a further sense of the emotion he must have felt, let us look at our image now together. Here we see the figurative farmer depicting Jehovah as a grand cultivator. How great is his disappointment as he looks upon this inferior produce. This is certainly not what he hoped for. He may even be wondering, what exactly happened? Where did it all go wrong? Well, we actually have the answer to that question. The key lies in pollination. You may be familiar, but grapevines are actually a self-pollinating plant, which means that they don't require any external pollinators like bees to begin that process, but rather rely mostly on winds to facilitate pollination by moving pollen from one part of the flower to another. This allows vineyards to be relatively isolated and still continue to produce fruit. However, and here's an important caveat, if wild grapes were growing nearby, their pollen could be mixed with that of the cultivated vines, resulting in impure fruit with wild characteristics. Doesn't that aptly describe what happened to the nation of Israel? Israel's fruitful ways became contaminated by the surrounding nations, adulterating the high-quality fruitage Jehovah had spent so much time in preparing. The vineyard of Israel produced wild grapes in the form of injustice, oppression, and idolatry. With nothing left to do, what action would Jehovah take? Well, let's read Isaiah 5 and 6. He tells us what he will do. He says, "Now please, let me tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will remove its hedge, and it will be burnt down. I will break down its stone wall, and it will be trampled on. I will make it a wasteland. It will not be pruned or hoed. It will be overgrown with thorn bushes and weeds." Israel's imagery draws on practices that farmers would recognize: burning for weed and pest control, leaving land fallow, meaning untouched for a period of time, and removing old, unused structures and boundaries. But Jehovah's intent was symbolic. Unlike human farmers who would use such methods for regeneration, his actions represented judgment and withdrawal of his protection and blessing. And until the end of verse 6, the actions can be compared to what a literal farmer might do. But note the last line. Jehovah says, "And I will command the clouds not to send any rain on it." No human farmer could do such a thing. But Jehovah, as the perfect judge, promises to withdraw even the rain from the land, showing the complete removal of his blessing from his disobedient people, the figurative plantation that he was once fond of. This shows how seriously he views disobedience and ingratitude. And it reminds us that without his protection and spirit, our spiritual fruitage cannot survive. And so, as we reflect on the right Jehovah has with his people today, the right to expect good fruit, we can ask ourselves, what kind of fruit am I producing? How does this lesson motivate me to avoid disappointing Jehovah? Like Israel, we could begin to lose appreciation for all that our Creator has done for us by neglecting to absorb the spiritual nutrients he provides. We could let the spirit of the world pollinate our thinking, cause us to drift towards values that dishonor Jehovah. Or we could become complacent, satisfied with past efforts instead of continuing to grow in righteousness. Jehovah, the great cultivator, has given us everything we need to bear the fruit that pleases him. May each of us resolve to keep cultivating qualities of gratitude, righteousness, and faithful obedience, so that when he looks at his vineyard today, he sees the fruit that brings him joy.
Well, thank you, Brother Broncos. You did a nice job with that talk. We appreciate your hard work. We'll move on now to our dig in for gems. Our Bible reading this week is taken from Isaiah chapter 3 to chapter 5, and Brother Denny Furman will handle that part. Thank you.
Well, welcome to the Spiritual Jams for this week. Let's begin by having a volunteer read Isaiah 5, 8 and 9. Who would like to read that? Sister Hunter?
Woe to those who join one house to another house, and who annex one field to another field until there is no more room, and you live by yourselves on the land. Jehovah of armies has sworn in my ears that many houses, though great and beautiful, will become an object of horror without an inhabitant.
Thank you, Sister, for your fine reading. Let's now ask the question, what were the Israelites doing that displeased Jehovah? Sister Galea?
Well, they were joining, as it says, joining houses to houses and field to field, creating huge estates and squeezing out the smaller families. This violated Jehovah's arrangement where each family's land was meant to remain with them as a lasting inheritance and a protection. So instead of respecting Jehovah's law on property, the wealthy Israelites gobbled up more real estate to enrich themselves, pushing poorer ones into hardship.
Thank you, Sister. Any more comments? Sister Villarino?
because they were violating Jehovah's law. Jehovah promised to strip these greedy ones of their ill-gotten gain, and the houses will be without an inhabitant, and the lands will produce a mere fraction of the capacity. So we can see that Jehovah was against that greediness, and we could say that today we should apply it to ourselves too. Not to be greedy, but use our time to serve Jehovah.
Thank you, sister. Well, we seem to have covered that very well. Let's move on now to our next question. What spiritual gems from this week's Bible reading would you like to share? Brother Papa?
In Isaiah 5:20 points to Satan's tactic of confusing moral boundaries. He seeks to make people believe that good is bad and bad is good. And one of his subtle methods is to raise doubts in believers' minds. When he causes people to question what Jehovah says about spiritism or any other practice, they may begin to think it is harmless. To counteract this, we must keep a clear view of what Jehovah considers pure and refuse to be misled by Satan's reasoning.
Thank you, brother. That's well researched. And Sister Cox?
Isaiah 5:22 says, "Woe to those who are mighty in drinking wine." And the insight explains that those words were mostly addressed to those as serving as judges in the land in particular, but they were moderate in their use of alcoholic beverages because they understood the importance of their assignments and they wouldn't want to allow anything to hinder their service. And it was vital for them that they remembered that their lifestyle had a direct impact on how successful their service would be. So today, Satan uses our desires for things that in themselves might not be wrong, but can consume our life and our focus and can lead to bad decisions. So for us, it's really important to include Jehovah in every part of our lives.
Thank you for your nice comment. And Sister, is it Abigail?
Here in 5 verse 21 say, "Woe to those wise in their own eyes." So the people started believing that they knew better than Jehovah. So I learned here that overconfidence can lead us to ignore good counsel or think we can handle everything alone. But we should try to stay open to advice, correction, and guidance from the Bible, mature friends, and spiritual shepherds. And it helps us to stay grounded and humble.
Excellent comment. Let's try Brother Gonzalez on Zoom.
They do not see the work of his hand. This verse warns about the dangers of living a life centered solely on pleasure and fun, since people are busy with entertainment, but they are blind to Jehovah's work and judgment. So this verse teaches us that we must balance enjoyment with the seriousness to observe and respond to what Jehovah is asking of us, because the excessive pursuit of pleasure and entertainment can blind us spiritually. Therefore, we must maintain balance, allowing recreation to be moderate and never letting it overshadow our spiritual priorities.
Thank you, brother. That's something we can apply in our lives. And Brother Bionik?
In Isaiah 4, verse 4, it mentions how it says, "When Jehovah washes away the filth of the daughters of Zion and rinses away the bloodshed of Jerusalem from amidst by the spirit of judgment and by spirit of burning." So certainly prophecies which were going to apply, even though they were written many years before 607 BC when destruction came. But obviously in verse 4 it says, "When Jehovah washes away the filth." people must have read that and just thought, well, maybe that won't happen. Maybe the when should be an if. But these prophecies did come about. And Jehovah showed his love too, because we know eventually a remnant went back to Jerusalem in 537, and they were the cleansed ones who were able to return to Jerusalem.
Thank you, brother. And Sister Bizanelli?
Isaiah 4 verse 2, we see that here Isaiah word he magnifies the God has towards his people. Although the Israelites as a nation turned against Jehovah, he had mercy on a repentant remnant. We can draw comfort from knowing that even those who seem serious can return to Jehovah with a hope. Repentant one need not to feel that they are behind Jehovah's mercy, for he does not reject a contrite heart. The Bible assures us Jehovah is merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in loving kindness.
Thank you, Bizanelli, for highlighting those qualities. And Brother Davis?
Isaiah 4 verse 6 says, there will be a booth for shade by day from the heat, and for refuge and protection from storms and the rain. When we are faced with scorching heat of persecution or the storms of opposition, we'll be able to find refuge in Jehovah, the source of protection and security. And if we avoid the unclean beliefs and practices of this wicked system and submit to the cleansing of Jehovah's judgment and endeavour to remain morally and spiritually clean, we will be safe as in a booth of divine protection, just as we read in Isaiah 4 verse 6.
Thank you for your lovely comment. And Brother Ticlamariam?
Isaiah 3:10 is a encouraging verse for those servants of God today, because it says, tell the righteous that it will go well for them. They will be rewarded for what they do. This reminds us that even if things are hard right now, Jehovah sees the good we're doing and promises that it will turn out well for us. This teaches us that our efforts aren't wasted, but Jehovah sees everything we do for him, and he will reward those faithful ones in his own time.
Thank you, brother. And let's try the Panaris family on Zoom.
So just circling back to Isaiah 5:20, another point too, when we're forgiving, obviously that is the act of pardoning an offender, but something that forgiveness is not, it's condoning the offence. So as Brother Papa mentioned, Jehovah obviously condemns bad actions, unlike the world today, but we'll also see an example of this in next week's meeting too.
Thank you, brother, for your fine comment. And Brother Nicholson.
5 verse 18 paints a interesting word picture. The first part saying those that drag along their guilt with ropes of deception. And so that can even apply today. People break Jehovah's laws and plead ignorance, but they're fooling themselves. They think, I'm okay, I'm a good person by my standards. Well, they're ropes of deception. And aren't we happy that we've had such beautiful watchtowers, seeing how we can let go of our guilt by setting matters straight with Jehovah?
Thank you, brother, for your nice comment. That's all we have time for tonight. Well, thank you all who had a share. We thank you for your household efforts. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Brother Furman, for taking us through our Digging for Gems tonight. We really enjoyed that, and thank you all for your encouraging comments too. Well, it's time for our Bible reading now, and it's taken from Isaiah 5, verses 1 to 12, and we'll invite Brother Alberto Abalera to read that for us. Thank you.
Let me sing, please, to my beloved, a song about my loved one and his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a fruitful hillside. He dug it up and rid it up with stones. He planted it with the choice red wine, built a tower in the middle of it, and hewed out a wine press in it. Then he kept hoping for it to produce grapes, but it produced only wild grapes. And now, you inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, please judge between me and my vineyard. What more could I have done for my vineyard that I have not already done? Why, when I hoped for a grapes, did it produce only wild grapes? Now, please, let me tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will remove its heads, and it will be burned down. I will break down its stone wall, and it will be trampled on. I will make it a wasteland. It will not be frown or hoid. It will be overgrown with thorn bushes and weeds. And I will command the clouds not to send any rain on it. For the vineyard of Jehovah of armies is the house of Israel. The men of Judah are the plantation he was fond of. He kept hoping for justice, but look, there was injustice for righteousness. But look, I cry for distress. Who to those who join one house to another house, and who annex one field to another field, until there is no more room, and you live by yourself on the land. Jehovah of armies has sworn in my ears that many houses, thought great and beautiful, will become an object of horror without an inhabitant. With 10 acres of vineyard will produce but one bat measure, and a homer measure of a seed will produce only one ephah. Who to those who get up early in the morning to drink alcohol, who linger late in the evening darkness until wine inflames them? They have harp and string instrument, tambourine, flute, and wine at their feasts. But they do not consider the activity of Jehovah, and they do not see the work of his hands.
Well, thank you, Brother Alberto. That was a nice Bible reading. You were working on study point 5 from our teaching brochure or booklet, Accurate Reading. It says there, read aloud exactly what is on the page. It sounds simple, doesn't it, to read exactly what's on the page, but it can be challenging, but you did a pretty good job of that, and it talks about preparing well. So when we prepare well, we understand what we are reading and why we are reading it. It's much easier for us to put the sentences and the words into groups so we can really follow along nicely. And you did a good job of that too tonight. So thank you for your part. We look forward to your next part. We'll move on to our next part, starting the conversation. Brother Hamilton and Brother Wilson will deliver that for us. It's House to House is the setting, and Brother Hamilton will feature a video from the teaching toolbox. Thank you.
Hello, how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm taking part in a volunteer work, and
Hold on a sec. I've heard the Jehovah's start off their spiel that way. Are you one of them?
I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses, yes.
Well, I've heard some dark and mysterious things about you lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're a cult. You have secret meetings, you have all these weird conventions, and you don't believe in Jesus.
Oh, wow, that does sound quite insidious.
Yeah, how can you be such part of such an organisation? Are you brainwashed?
Well, can I ask you if you've spoken with Jehovah's Witnesses before?
No, I've been lucky. You're the first.
Well, I'd like to thank you for being so upfront. If I were part of a cult and didn't know it, I'd definitely appreciate you trying to help me.
Well, you know, I am a Christian, yeah, so I think I should tell you.
Oh, well, I very much appreciate it. However, I just want you to know that Jehovah's Witnesses are actually quite open with our beliefs, and we don't try and hide anything. In fact, I've got this short video that actually explains who we are. Would you care to see it?
Short, you say?
Yeah, very short.
You seem fairly normal. I'll have a look.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Here it is. So, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised actually. It says you do believe in Jesus and that you try to imitate him. It also said that you do the same work that he did was when he was on earth in talking about God with the people. But I heard you guys use your own books. You don't use the Bible.
Well, actually, as the Bible said, we specifically and exclusively follow what the Bible says. And did you notice what it said, why it said we are called Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, because you talk about Jehovah and his kingdom. Who is the Jehovah again? I forgot.
That's okay. Jehovah is God's name. It's the God of the Bible who created our earth and the entire universe.
So you do believe in Jesus, but you don't believe that he's God.
That's correct. In the Bible, Jesus is only ever described as God's Son.
You know, I read the Bible, I read the Gospels particularly, and I have noticed that in John 3:16 it says God sent his only begotten Son. Why doesn't it just say he came down to earth?
I can't argue with that.
No, so yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. Have had trouble with the Trinity teaching, and the video mentions your meetings are open to the public.
Yeah, so it's not very secretive, is it?
No, it's not. It doesn't seem very coldish. You've got your website that anyone can visit. Your meetings are open. It seems that I've been led astray by my friends at church.
Well, thank you, Brother Hamilton. That was really nicely done. We appreciate you filling in for us tonight as well. You had a very difficult customer there. He wasn't happy, but it just shows you that the videos, how useful they are. You were able to use that and put that forward and let that do the talking, and it calmed Andrew right down. So that's really nicely done. Thank you for your hard work. We move on now to our follow-up part. The setting is informal witnessing. We have Sister Yosan and Sister Abigail, and they tell the person about the JW Library app and help him load it on his phone. So thank you, sisters.
Hi, America. How you been? Oh, wow. We have a lot of laundry today.
Hey, Yosan, yes. My family came from overseas, so the house has been full and busy.
That must be so nice. Spend time with family after so long.
It really was. It felt beautiful to have them around again, but I'm still worried about the rest of my family back home.
Oh, really? Is everything all right?
They're safe, but you know how it's been in the news. Typhoons, flooding, earthquakes, nonstop. So my parents are stressed, and I feel stressed for them too. And the Wi-Fi is so bad that it's hard to call them.
I'm really sorry, America. That's a lot to carry. And anyone will feel the same way. Being far from family, that must be hard on you.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, when I feel worried like that, there's Bible verse that help me a lot. If you like, could you read it?
Sure.
So it is in Isaiah 41:11. Here it is.
Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be anxious, for I am your God. I will fortify you. Yes, I will help you.
Yeah. I love this verse because it highlights our promise and to stay close to us. So when we are afraid, he doesn't just tell us not be afraid, but he explains why. He says, I'm with you and I will help you. So even when we are stressed or worried about our family, Jehovah gives us courage and strength, and so we don't face things alone.
Oh, that's really comforting. Thank you, Yosan.
There's something else as well that helped me a lot, especially when I need comforting speeches or peaceful videos.
Oh, what is it?
So have you heard JW Library before?
No, I don't think so. But is that the one that you've showed me before?
Yeah, that one. So it is free up and with Bible verse, videos, and simple articles. And it explains like why disaster happened and what God promised for the future. If you like, I can help you to download it.
Yes, okay. So what do I type? I want to look into it.
So just go to your app store and type JW Library. And it is a Bible one.
Okay, JW Library. Got it. It's downloading.
Perfect. So when you open it, and then there is a teaching tool, and you find topic like family, prayer, hope, and about suffering as well. And under that there is what is new, and there will be short videos, article about like what bad things happen and how God covered us during hard times. So those things can give you real comfort and a real caution and comfort, the things they are dealing with right now.
Oh, that sounds really helpful. I think I need this right now.
Yeah, I'm glad. If you want, we can look at a topic at Kiosapod together. It's just simple Bible base, and yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that. And we already exchanged numbers.
Yeah, perfect. And please let me know if you heard anything from your family. Remember, Marika Jehovah really care about you and your family more than we can imagine.
That was reassuring, you son. I'm glad I found you here. Oh, my laundry cycle just finished. I should put it in the dryer.
Oh yeah, just mine finished as well. Let's put it in the dryer.
Sure.
Well, thank you, sisters, and thank you, Sister Yosin. That was really nicely done. You were working on study point 5 of lesson 9, empathy. When we think about the principle that comes with empathy, it's rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. And we could see you really did that. Once you realised your assistant was upset and she was in a distressed way, you really lowered your tone and got down to her emotions, and you were able to share with her what she needs. And that's another part of showing empathy, is looking for what the person needs and showing that personal interest, and you did a really good job of that. So we thank you for your part. We'll move on to our next part, making disciples. Encourage a Bible student who is dealing with family opposition. Sister Lebraga, and her assistant is Sister Hannah Legato. So thank you, sisters.
I'm so happy we could get together in a different setting today, Hannah.
Yes, when you invited me to go out for coffee, I was so happy.
Yes, I thought it was a good idea because it will give us some privacy and also the opportunity to speak freely. I am aware that your family situation has changed a little bit, and your family's husband has moved in with you all. So I wanted to ask you how you are coping with your new circumstances.
Oh, thank you. It hasn't been easy. They are beautiful people and I love them dearly. But they are very opinionated people. And especially when I see how they are influencing my husband to put pressure on me to stop studying the Bible. Especially when they found out that I won't be celebrating traditional festivities with them. They were so angry, and they even told me that I was not a real Christian.
Oh, Hannah, I'm so sorry that you're going through that situation. I can see how delicate and tense it is at the moment at your house. And I also did notice a little bit that it has impacted your attendance at the meetings. But I do appreciate very much that you have never canceled a Bible study together.
Oh, thank you, Griselda. I'm trying, but I didn't think it was going to be so difficult.
It is a challenge, Hannah, but as Christians, we are not ignorant.
Yes, I know. We are not ignorant that Satan will try to break our integrity and will use even our families.
Exactly right. And you know, Jesus warned us that we would suffer if we wanted to be his disciples. We would suffer some kind of opposition. So if you could please read Matthew chapter 10, starting from verse 34.
Yeah, it says, do not think I came to bring peace to the earth. I came to bring not peace, but a sword. Indeed, a man's enemies will be those of his own household.
Thank you. Now, did you notice there how Jesus acknowledged that our family may not support our decision to worship Jehovah.
Yeah.
So we do have a real battle, Hannah, but we are not without help. Jehovah will reward your patience and your willingness to remain strong, just like he did with his servants in the past.
Who do you think in mind? I can't think at the moment.
Well, I was actually thinking of Job.
Job? How was he pressured?
Well, remember, he faced many different attacks from the devil, and he also experienced pressure from his own wife.
Yeah.
The Bible tells us that she said to him, "Curse God and die." Imagine such strong words. And this was his wife, the mother of his children. They were probably had been together many, many years. And what is she doing? She's asking him to give up what she knew it was very important to him. Probably the most important thing, his relationship with Jehovah. But Job's faith strengthened him, and instead of giving into her pressure, the Bible tells us that he was able to keep his integrity. So isn't this example that it gives us encouragement to continue on?
Yeah, of course. And I had forgotten his experience.
No, that's okay. You know, the Bible also tells us that because of his integrity, Jehovah blessed him with double of what he had before. And I'm sure, and you please be sure that if you keep firm, Jehovah will also reward you. And to confirm those words, we do have the words of Jesus himself. If I may read to you Mark chapter 19, starting from 29, Jesus said to all of us, "Truly I say to you, no one has left brothers or sisters or mother or father for my sake and for the sake of the good news, who will not get 100 times more now and everlasting life." Now, when you think of this beautiful promise, how do you think it might help you when you're facing opposition?
It helps me see that if I put Jehovah first, I can enjoy the blessing of a spiritual family forever in paradise.
Yes, very true. And you know, Jehovah will never let us down. But in the meantime, I would like to encourage you to reassure your family of your love. Please continue showing them through your conduct that we Jehovah's Witnesses are normal, loving people.
Yeah.
And most importantly, keep praying to Jehovah, because his Holy Spirit will help you to continue display the qualities that you need to be strong and for them to see that you are safe in Jehovah's hands.
Yeah, thank you again. I really appreciate your encouragement.
Beautiful. Let's have a coffee.
Well, thank you, sisters. That was really nicely done, Sister LaBraga. We appreciate your hard work there. You were working on lesson 12, courage, point 4. Identify obstacles to progress and help your student overcome those obstacles. And you really did a good job of that. We can see how family opposition can be a real roadblock for some people, can be very challenging. And you were able to help your householder or your Bible student to see that, to focus on Jehovah, and then that can help her to get past that. So we thank you for your hard work. We look forward to your next part. Okay, we are coming up to our Living as Christians part now. And to open that section, we'll sing song 65. If you're able to stand, please do so. Move ahead. local need for this week is update number 7, so thank you, brothers.
Welcome. In this program, we'll share exciting highlights from the 2025 Service Year Report. We'll also share some encouraging experiences from the campaign we had in September. But first, here are some updates. On October 24th through 26th, 2025, a special convention was held in Kobe, Japan. Over 3,000 delegates attended from 35 countries. The peak attendance was 22,591. A highlight was the baptism of 93 new brothers and sisters. Conventions strengthen our brotherhood. They also give a powerful witness. A delegate from Mauritius related this experience. A hotel chef asked, "What kind of group is this?" I explained we were Jehovah's Witnesses attending a special event. He said, "Everyone wearing this badge is so refreshing, polite, and always smiling." Later, he brought a colleague and said, "These are the wonderful people I mentioned, well-dressed, courteous, and impressive." He said he might even attend the convention on his day off. Toward the end, he shared, "I've met foreign missionaries before, but you're completely different. You're truly refreshing, and I actually look forward to coming to work every day because of you." Pure worship glorifies Jehovah. While conventions bring joy, some of our brothers have faced very different circumstances recently. Natural disasters. The Philippines faced multiple natural disasters in the span of 7 weeks. They had 5 typhoons and 2 significant earthquakes. As a result, nearly 2,000 publishers were displaced and 99 homes were destroyed. And an additional 548 homes and 36 kingdom halls were damaged. 10 of our brothers and sisters were injured, but thankfully, none of our brothers and sisters were killed. 12 disaster relief committees have been appointed to coordinate relief aid. In Jamaica, on October 28, 2025, Hurricane Melissa struck as a Category 5 storm, with winds of nearly 300 kilometers or 185 miles per hour. This was one of the strongest hurricanes ever recorded in the Atlantic Ocean. Deadly floods and landslides also hit Jamaica's southern coast. Hurricane Melissa also affected parts of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and Bermuda. How were our brothers affected? Thankfully, none of our brothers or sisters were killed, but 14 were injured. A combined total of 679 were displaced, 79 homes were destroyed, and 1,165 additional homes were damaged. 4 kingdom halls were destroyed. 40 kingdom halls and 5 assembly halls were also damaged. 4 disaster relief committees are providing help. When disasters like these occur, we're deeply concerned about our brothers and sisters. It's just as the Apostle Paul said at 1 Corinthians 12, 25, and 26. So that there should be no division in the body, but its members should have mutual concern for one another. If one member suffers, all the other members suffer with it. According to the study note on verse 25, the phrase, its members should have mutual concern for one another, literally means the members should be anxious over one another. It goes on to say, the use of this verb highlights the intensity with which the members of the Christian congregation should care about the spiritual, physical, and material welfare of fellow believers. Please continue to pray earnestly for those affected by disasters earth-wide. We're also deeply grateful for the many volunteers working to provide spiritual, physical, and material relief. And that includes all of you. Thank you for your prayers and your generous donations, which make this relief work possible. Brothers and sisters, whatever challenges you're facing, we're so encouraged to see your zeal for the ministry. That zeal was evident in our recent worldwide preaching campaign. In September 2025, we had the joy of sharing in the global distribution of the Watchtower entitled An End to War, How? We also invited interested ones to the special talk. Here are a couple of encouraging experiences from the campaign. A sister in Argentina made a special effort to share in public witnessing during her lunch break. She knew her employer was a former Bible student, so she told her about the global campaign. She also encouraged her to consider resuming her Bible study. Later, the sister learned that 2 co-workers overheard the conversation and had many questions. As a result, both co-workers accepted a Bible study. The next day, the sister's employer agreed to resume her study. Now all 3 are studying and 2 attended the special talk. In Belgium, a woman kindly greeted 2 sisters who knocked on her door. When the sister showed her the featured issue of the Watchtower, she readily accepted it. On a subsequent visit, the woman told our sisters that she had also visited our website. She had watched the video, Why Does God Allow Suffering? She said that she appreciated the logical, reassuring answers to her questions. The sisters offered her a Bible study, which she gladly accepted. While attending the special talk, the woman listened attentively. After the program, the woman said that she longs to be around people who genuinely want to serve God. She continues to enjoy a regular Bible study. But these experiences are just a tiny glimpse of what happened during the special campaign. But now, let's look at the report of our preaching activities for the 2025 service year. The 2025 year text encouraged us to give Jehovah the glory due his name. Well, Jehovah's people all over the world did just that. We rejoiced to see an average of 9,047,083 publishers. That represents a 2.5% increase. What's more, out of the 241 lands where we preach the good news, 96 reported all-time peaks in the number of publishers. In addition to the worldwide campaign to offer Bible studies in September 2024, various branches hosted local preaching campaigns during the service year. The emphasis on starting conversations and offering Bible studies clearly has Jehovah's blessing. For example, from June to August 2025, our brothers and sisters in Peru shared in a preaching campaign. What was the objective? To reach communities in 5 diverse regions of the country. These range from the Amazon River to high in the Andes Mountains. What was the response? During the campaign, nearly 10,000 people expressed interest in our Bible study course and asked to learn more about it. Similarly, from July to August 2025, thousands of our brothers and sisters shared in the first ever preaching campaign in Zambia's Western Province. An estimated 1.3 million people live in this vast and beautiful region. For many people who live in remote areas of the province, this was their first opportunity to hear the Bible's message. What was the result? During the campaign, over 24,500 people requested a Bible study. Isn't that amazing? Truly, the fields are white for harvesting. In fact, worldwide, there was a 1.6% increase in the number of Bible studies conducted last service year. And it was heartwarming to see that 304,643 were baptized during the service year. This is a 2.8% increase over last year. And what about the memorial attendance? How encouraging that 20,635,015 attended the memorial, and 15 lands reported an all-time peak attendance. Let's hear some additional highlights from the 2025 service year report.
In the Philippines, we had a new peak averaging over 268,200 publishers. And recently, for the 37th month in a row, we reached a new peak in regular pioneers, now totaling over 79,000. That's on average 531 new pioneers each month.
In the country of Mexico, we reached a new peak of 879,024 publishers. And we also had a new peak of regular pioneers, more than 173,000.
In Indonesia, we had a peak in the number of publishers, 32,371. That represents a 3% increase over last year. We also recently reached an all-time peak in the number of regular pioneers, over 7,100.
In Angola, we had a 6% increase in the number of publishers. That brought us to over 184,000, which is a new peak. But since then, we've already reached a new all-time peak of 190,939 publishers in September.
In Zimbabwe, we were pleased to see a peak in the number of publishers, over 53,700. That's an increase of 7%. In addition, we recently reached an all-time peak in the number of regular pioneers, over 10,600.
In Congo-Kinshasa, we had an 11% increase in the number of publishers, with over 297,000. We also had all-time peaks in the number of Bible studies and in memorial attendance. In fact, over 1.4 million people attended the memorial. That is over 4 times the number of publishers.
In the country of France, we are happy to report a new peak in the number of publishers, 139,548.
In Madagascar, we had a 7% increase in the number of publishers. That brings us to a new peak of over 44,500. We had nearly 4 times that many attend the memorial, with an all-time peak of 176,453.
In Brazil, we had a new peak of over 930,000 publishers. Since then, we've already reached a new all-time peak of over 940,000 publishers in September.
These are just a few highlights from the 2025 Service Year Report. It's evidence of Jehovah's rich blessing. It also reflects your outstanding zeal for the preaching work. And we take this opportunity to commend you for your share in giving our God the glory due His name. Well, as we've seen in this update, our brothers and sisters are not immune to serious challenges such as natural disasters, but they do not give up in doing what is fine. Jehovah keeps strengthening and blessing these faithful ones. And He's blessing each one of us as we have a full share in the ministry. May we continue to do our very best for Jehovah. Brothers and sisters, please know that we love you all very much and keep you in our prayers. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
Wasn't all that progress very encouraging? Jehovah's organisation just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Well, now it's time for our congregation Bible study. We'll be looking at lessons 40 and 41. We'll invite Brother George Arias to take us through that, and his reader will be Brother Kevin Galea. Thank you, brothers.
So as it was mentioned, tonight we're going to be considering lesson number 40, and we're going to see what took place between David and Goliath, a mighty battle, but we'll also see to whom the battle really belonged. And to start, we will ask Brother Galea to read our paragraphs, please.
David and Goliath. Jehovah told Samuel, "Go to the house of Jesse. One of his sons will be the next king of Israel." So Samuel went to Jesse's house. When he saw the oldest son, he thought, "This young man must be the one." But Jehovah told Samuel that this was not the one. Jehovah said, "I see what is in a person's heart, not just what he looks like on the outside." Jesse brought 6 more of his sons to Samuel. But Samuel said, "Jehovah has not chosen any of them. Do you have any other sons?" Jesse said, "I have one more, my youngest boy, David. He's out taking care of my sheep." When David came in, Jehovah told Samuel, "He is the one." Samuel poured oil on David's head, anointing him as the future king of Israel. Sometime later, the Israelites were at war with the Philistines, who had a giant warrior named Goliath fighting for them. Day after day, Goliath mocked the Israelites. He shouted, "Send me a man who will fight me. If he wins, we will be your slaves, but if I win, you will be our slaves." David came to the Israelite army camp with food for his brothers who were soldiers. He heard Goliath and said, "I will fight him." King Saul said, "But you are just a boy." David replied, "Jehovah will help me." Saul tried to let David use his armor, but David said, "I can't fight in this armor." David took his sling and went to a stream. He chose 5 smooth stones and put them in a pouch. Then David ran toward Goliath. The giant shouted, "Come here, little boy. I will feed you to the birds of the sky and to the wild animals." But David wasn't afraid. He shouted back, "You come with a sword and with a spear, but I come in the name of Jehovah. You are not fighting against us, you are fighting against God. Everyone here will see that Jehovah is more powerful than a sword or a spear. He will give all of you into our hand." David slipped a stone into his sling and swung it as hard as he could. With Jehovah's help, the stone shot out and sank into Goliath's forehead. The giant fell dead to the ground. Then the Philistines ran for their lives. Do you trust in Jehovah as David did?
Very good, excellent. Thank you for your reading, Brother Galea. So the first question we want to ask, and we might bring this picture up, who did Jehovah choose as the next king of Israel? Sorry, the second picture. Thank you, young little hunter at the back, please.
Jehovah chose David to be king.
Very good, excellent. What lesson do we learn from the way this was done in relation to how Jehovah sees things? What lesson do we learn? Thank you, Sister Lim.
1 Samuel 16:7 highlights about Jehovah's qualities. For the way man sees is not the way God sees, because mere man sees what appears to eyes, but Jehovah sees into the heart. So it means that he looks beyond outward appearances and focuses on what a person really is. So what Jehovah values is the inner person.
Yeah, very good, excellent. Thank you, Sister, Brother Wilson.
The first king that Jehovah chose for Israel was a huge, tall man, good-looking, well-built, and this was just to get the idea of a king, what a king should look like as from an earthly point of view. However, now that they had kings, Jehovah was able to choose one that he particularly wanted, and David had the qualities that he wanted in a king.
Very good. Brother Gary?
And when we think of the prophet Samuel, Jehovah's prophet, many years of experience, but yet when he first saw the son, the older brother of David, alive, he said, "Surely here before Jehovah stands his anointed one." So even though Samuel was Jehovah's prophet, he was led astray a little by the physical appearance of this one.
Yeah, very good, excellent. Brother Nicholson?
And even the brothers, you can see the mixed reactions there. Some are looking thoughtful, some are looking puzzled. This doesn't seem right. And even when David appeared and was going to fight Goliath, we see some of the reactions of his brothers were a little negative. So we need to keep that in mind too when others get privileges or are chosen by Jehovah for certain things. Again, realising Jehovah sees much more than we do and sees the bigger picture.
Yeah, very good, excellent. So let's move on to our next question, because this one is going to have a lot for us to consider. How did David defeat Goliath? How did David defeat Goliath? Sister Rose?
It was with a slingshot, and he went, he was always being ridiculed by Goliath, but he said, I've lost my train of thought. He said that I've come in Jehovah's name to fight.
Yeah, very good. Let's see, Brother Nicholson?
There's lots to like about the account, but one of my favourite bits is David ran toward Goliath. And I just think, like, this huge bloke, and David can see clearly Jehovah's on his side. He ran towards the problem, not away from it.
Yeah. How tall was Goliath? How tall was he? And the answer, very tall, is not an answer. Okay. Sister Vijarino?
He was nearly 3 meters high.
Yeah, so let's invite him to the platform. Let's go get Goliath. We're going to bring him out tonight for us to get a sense of how tall he actually was. So he's just going to have to duck his head. He's a bit of a rod now, so this is what's left of him. We can't even fit him in here. Look, we really can't even fit him. That's how tall he is. Now, can you imagine for a moment having to confront this? We look at Brother Galea, he's not as tall. But how tall was David? How tall was David? And if you know, you're pretty good. Sorry.
He was just a little boy.
Yeah? It's interesting that if we think about one of the articles speaks about the average height of a warrior was 5'7". So that makes him 173 centimetres tall. So let's pretend David's 173 centimetres tall. Well, we can't stand it up, right? So for me, nose on belly button, pretty much. Okay? So if we think about the height, I'm probably not as tall as David, and not as really as tall as Goliath neither. So you can imagine the situation. He ran towards the battle. He didn't run in the opposite direction. What does it tell us about the relationship that David and Jehovah had? What does it tell us? Thank you, Brother Philip.
We can see even with David, his relationship with Jehovah was very strong, because even when he went to, I think it was Saul, he spoke to Saul and basically said, Jehovah's already looked after me, when he protected the sheep and killed the bear. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, very good, excellent. Let's put Goliath away. He's probably tired now. So. But we can sort of get an idea as to the challenge he was actually facing. Now, something interesting. Goliath wore this copper coat. Do you know how heavy that was? Not like the jackets we wear tonight, but do you know how heavy that coat was? Let's see, Brother Gary?
It was around 57 kilograms.
57 kilograms, exactly. And the iron blade of his spear weighed 6.8 kilos. And here comes David with 5 smooth stones. Do we get a grasp as to why the battle belonged to Jehovah? So if we think for a moment, friends, if we were to apply the lessons that we see, because remember, Saul saw him didn't see him as a man, he saw him as a young boy. Goliath saw him as a boy. How did Jehovah see David? Did you notice the word he uses when he anoints him? He doesn't say boy. What do we learn? Thank you, our sister.
We learn from David, and we should imitate to be strong, firm, and brave without fear when facing our Goliaths or big challenges in life. Because Jehovah will help us to depend and praise His name against those who mock Him. And David's faith was strong because he believed that and trust Jehovah that would fight for His servants, and with God, for all things are possible.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. So when we think about in modern times, friends, what does your Goliath look like right now? Is it bullying? Is it fear of perhaps going from door to door? Is it fear maybe of doing a part? Is it home opposition? Is it perhaps a temptation you're actually battling at the moment? Whatever it is, if it looks like a Goliath, notice what Mark chapter 10 verse 27 says. With men it is impossible, but not so with God, for all things are possible with God. So friends, what does this account teach us about Jehovah? Thank you, Brother Eli.
This account teaches us that Jehovah looks at the heart, not on our outward appearance. He sees qualities like faith, loyalty, and courage, even if others overlook us. It also shows that Jehovah can use anyone, no matter how young or small, to accomplish great things. We only have to trust in Him. And just like how Jehovah helped David defeat Goliath, Jehovah can also help us overcome challenges that seem impossible.
Very good. Brother Cox. Here at the front.
We see in 1 Samuel 16 verse 13 where Samuel, when he anointed David in the presence of his brothers, this probably would seem like a joke to them. As we saw in the picture, he was so small, he didn't look like much physically. But we see what it says there, and the Spirit of Jehovah began to empower David from that day forward. So it was Jehovah's Spirit that gave him this power to accomplish everything that he did. And when we think about ourselves, any assignment we may have that's challenging, we can rely on Jehovah. He will never leave us on our own.
And finally, what practical lessons can we learn from this account? We discussed a number of them. Let's see, Brother Hunter.
Just that Jehovah also is very willing to help us along. Also, perhaps more if we prepare. There's always this little question mark of why did David pick up 5 stones? Was he not confident of his aim or Jehovah's blessing? Turns out that Goliath was one of many giants, the Rephaim. One of them even caught up with David later in his life and nearly done him in if it weren't for the hand of one of his fellow soldiers. So perhaps he was ready to run on over that hill and find the brother of Goliath. Who knows? We might have to find out in the future, perhaps ask the man himself. But Jehovah blesses preparation. We don't have to go in blasé and just, leave it all to Jehovah. We can, and we're encouraged to prepare in many different aspects of our life and ministry.
Thank you, Brother Hunter. Brother Simone? Just behind you.
Yeah, when at a very young age, David even gave credit to Jehovah for helping him to defeat the lion and the bear. Obviously, David was a very skilled and talented young man, but he didn't direct praise to himself, and he didn't just think only of himself. He thought of how Jehovah helped him, and that really helped him to face up to Goliath later on, was that reliance that he held on Jehovah, not in his own natural talents or skills.
Yeah, very good. And finally, Brother Nicholson.
And just adding to the comment of preparation, that close relationship with Jehovah. So we learned Jehovah looks into hearts, but also if we have a close relationship with Jehovah, that will enable us to see things through Jehovah's eyes. And I always remember a talk a brother once gave that Goliath was just another grasshopper, and when you see it through Jehovah's eyes.
Yeah, very good. Everything looks smaller from the top, doesn't it? Yeah, excellent. Let's move into lesson number 41 now, and we'll invite Brother Gilead to read David and Saul.
After David killed Goliath, King Saul put him in charge of his army. David won many battles and became very popular. Whenever David came home from war, the women would come out and dancing and singing, "Saul has struck down thousands, and David has struck down tens of thousands." Saul became jealous of David and wanted to kill him. David could play the harp very well, and one day while David was playing the harp for Saul, the king hurled his spear at him. David dodged it just in time, and the spear shot into the wall. After that, Saul tried many more times to kill David. Eventually, David ran away and hid in the desert. Saul took an army of 3,000 men and went hunting for David. He happened to enter the very cave where David and his men were hiding. David's men whispered, "This is your chance to kill Saul." David crept towards Saul and cut off a piece of the king's coat, and Saul did not notice. Afterward, David felt very bad that he had not shown respect for Jehovah's anointed king. He did not allow his men to attack Saul. He even called out to Saul, saying that he could have killed Saul when he had the chance. Would Saul change his mind about David? No. Saul kept hunting for David. One night, David and his nephew, Abishai, sneaked into Saul's camp. Even Abner, Saul's bodyguard, was sleeping. Abishai said, "This is our chance. Let me kill him." And David replied, "Jehovah will deal with Saul. Let's just take his spear and his water jug and go." David climbed a nearby mountain that overlooked Saul's camp, and he shouted, "Abner, why did you not protect your king? Where is Saul's jug and spear?" Saul recognized David's voice and said, "You could have killed me, but you did not. I now know that you will be the next king of Israel." Saul went back to his palace, but not all in Saul's family hated David.
Thank you very much for your reading. Thank you very much, Brother Galia, for your reading. Oh, I like that whispering. That was good. So our first question is, why did Saul want to kill David? Brother Denzel, please.
Because Saul became very jealous of David and wanted to kill him.
Very good. What were the crowd singing? Yes, that made him furious. What were the crowd singing? Is it Brother Davies?
Yeah. Saul had killed his thousands, but David tens of thousands. And so this made Saul very jealous.
Yeah, very good. Who could have guessed that a song would have stirred up so much hatred for another person? Yeah. So what do we know about the skills that David had? What are the skills? We know he was good with a slingshot. What other skills did he have? Thank you, Sister Dodding.
Playing the harp.
Very good. Yeah. Why did he find himself playing the harp in Saul's palace? Do you recall? Brother Vijareni, please.
Saul had become depressed.
Depressed about what? What was he so depressed about? Let's see, Brother Gary.
Well, as we learned last week, he made some serious mistakes. And when things started out, Jehovah's Spirit was with him, but due to the mistakes and where his life was going, Jehovah's Spirit was no longer with him. It almost seemed like there was a bad spirit with him. So he became depressed, became upset. His people around him said, "I think music can help you. And I know someone who can play this harp really well." So they sent to Jesse and had David come, and particularly when Saul was depressed, they got David to play the harp for him.
Yeah, very good. Music tames the beast. So one of the things we get to also understand is why did David now refuse to kill Saul? Why did he refuse to kill Saul? Our sister there, please. Thank you.
So David respected Jehovah's arrangement and trusted Jehovah to act in his own time. So even though Saul was trying to harm him, David saw Saul as still Jehovah's anointed king.
Would this be easy for David to do? To hold himself back from killing Saul? Would this have been easy? Brother Wilson?
the fleshly side of David would have been all over him in a flash. However, he had a spiritual side, and Jehovah could see that, he knew that, and that spiritual side of him stopped him from killing Jehovah's anointed one.
Very good. Brother Nicholson?
What a powerful thing to see theocracy and see things again through Jehovah's eyes, because that time with the picture there when he was down and could have killed him with a spear. In fact, who was it? Abishai said, I can pin him, I'll just do this once. But he actually said, God has delivered him into your hand. So that was false reasoning. So David had a really good view of matters.
Yeah, very good. Brother Philip?
Yeah, we think too that it wasn't just Saul and a couple of guys, his best guards chasing him. There was 3,000 men were after David. So David could have thought to himself, well, if I bump Saul off, then the rest of them might go away. But no, again, we can see that David put his confidence in Jehovah.
Yeah, very good. Could he not have come to the conclusion, well, I am supposed to be the next king. This is the opportunity to move into that role. Sister Carmen?
That would have been the physical man thinking that way. But actually in verse 6 of 1 Samuel 24, he says, it is unthinkable from Jehovah's standpoint that I should do such a thing to my Lord, the anointed of Jehovah, by lifting my hand against him, for he is the anointed of Jehovah. The spiritual man, David, could still see and respected that even though Saul had really lost that relationship with Jehovah, he still respected him as the anointed. The time wasn't yet for him to stand in those shoes as a king, so he allowed Jehovah to do whatever he needed to do at his time.
Yeah, very good, excellent. So friends, what does this account teach us about Jehovah? Brother Simone?
It teaches us a lot, but one thing that I got out of this was based on a watchtower from quite a long time back, but it just spoke how inexorably Jehovah's will was going forward here. Things that would have been obstacles for any of us and for David indeed, they were smoothed out, they were put out of the way, and David was protected very clearly and very obviously was Jehovah's protection there for David. So that gives me confidence in the outworking of Jehovah's will, that once Jehovah's determined something, nothing's ever going to stop that.
Yeah, very good, excellent. What else? What else do we learn about Jehovah? Thank you, Brother Gary.
We think of Jehovah and the way he looked after David. Even though things were difficult for David, Saul never actually caught up with David. So Jehovah was still looking after with David. It didn't mean David had a really easy life at that time, but Jehovah was still looking after him. So at times when there's persecution, we need to realise how Jehovah's helping us, and he's strengthening us, and he's looking after us in a similar way that we're still able to serve him even during difficult times.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. So our next final question is, what practical lessons can we learn from this account? Yes, sister at the front, please.
Yes, some people, like Abishai, might try to push us to act without considering about God's will. So I thought that to stay strong, we needed to remember God's view on the matter and decide to follow his way.
Very good. Excellent. Young Sister Cox, please.
Here we saw when David would come back from the war, the praise and the glory he received made Saul quite jealous, which led to very devastating results. And so I thought for us today, we may see others receive praise, commendation, or even privileges in Jehovah's service, and that can cause us to feel jealous. But what may have made the difference for Saul could have been remembering why he was serving Jehovah and whose approval he should have been seeking and valuing. So we should never forget why we serve God, not to receive praise for ourselves or in comparison to others, but to give all glory to God.
Very good, excellent. Anything else we can take? Sister Lim, please. In front of you.
Also, David's example teaches us to respect Jehovah's arrangement and to leave judgment and revenge to him, even when someone treats us unfairly.
Yeah, very good. We have the scripture at Romans there, chapter 12, verses 18 and 19. How might we apply that in a practical way? How might we be able to apply that in a practical way? Brother Vicharino, please.
Yes, it's can't help really ask when it says, "Do not avenge yourself." Yield place to the wrath, for it's written, "Vengeance is mine." So we might face situations like we saw the presentation this evening. The householder might tell things that are lies that can make us feel like doing something, or perhaps trying to be a bit responding to that. But we see like Jehovah is taking care of that. All what we have to do is rely on Him and represent the truth.
Yeah, very good. Sister Vijarini?
Yeah, and this account also teaches us about self-control, and we see that David displayed this quality to the full. For example, he refused to put vengeance for King Saul to death, even though he had ample opportunity to do so.
Very good, excellent. And Brother Nicholson, please.
And it's actually a good exercise for us to tie the principles that we can often easily identify in the Christian scriptures to those in the Hebrew. So David actually said to Saul, "It is Jehovah who will repay each one for his own righteousness and his own faithfulness." So that principle hasn't changed. So we get that same principle Paul wrote, that it's the same thing. Let Jehovah judge. He'll look after matters and do our best to do things his way.
Yeah, very good. Brother Simone at the back.
There was a bit of whispering going on in that account too, and sometimes our conscience can whisper to us and say things like, "Oh, do I have to do the hall cleaning? Why do I have to listen to the elders' direction on these little matters?" They're good reminders, and they really should be louder than a foghorn really to us, like it was to David. Recognise that channel through which Jehovah works and obey it.
Yeah, Sister Avagera, please. Valera.
And even we experience injustice like David, we should not be ones who take revenge. Leave wrath to God, let Him determine when and on whom vengeance into be brought. Like Romans 12, 18, 19, be peaceful with all men.
Very good, excellent. Well, friends, I thank you very much for your comments tonight, and we invite the chairman back to our platform.
Well, thank you, Brother Arias, for taking us through the Congregation Bible Study. You really brought those characters to life for us, so thank you. Well, there's some time left over, so we'll go to the audience now. Is there something that you'd like to share that you enjoyed from tonight's meeting? Brother Simone, thanks.
Well, it was a great meeting, but there were so many nice points, and one of them I liked was from the Treasures talk about that cross-pollination, that we could end up being wild or useless as far as Jehovah's concerned if we allow the world to influence us. So we want to be productive in Jehovah's service and make sure that we never succumb to the things that the world is offering to us and that would corrupt us and make us useless in Jehovah's eyes.
Yeah, thank you. Sister Villarino, thanks.
I really enjoyed the inform from the brothers about the pigs and how much Jehovah is blessing the work that we do in all around the world, because it's more or less what we are here trying to do, serve Jehovah and give our best.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else like to share a comment? As the Gonzalez family on Zoom, do you have a comment?
Yes, we saw that David's life was in constant danger, but he patiently waited for Jehovah to remove Saul's kingdom, rather than taking matters into his own hands. And this teaches us that Jehovah is the supreme judge, and his justice is perfect. Therefore, if we have faith, we should wait for Jehovah's timing to correct injustice, since David didn't justify the mistreatment by saying Saul doesn't deserve respect. So we too must show respect to those in authority, even if they are not perfect.
Yeah, thank you. Nice point. Brother Biniak, thanks.
Think of that video too, where it showed some of the disasters that are happening in different parts of the world. We can certainly want to pray for our brothers, but we think too of the world when we give to the worldwide work, and in a physical way, and how that's able to help these situations too, because society then has the funds where they get the resources to be able to help our brothers in often very desperate situations when we see this various disasters in the world.
Yeah, thank you. Some other things we can take away is just meditating on Isaiah chapter 5 verse 4, where Jehovah said, "What more could I have done for my vineyard that I have not already done? Why then, I hope for grapes, did it produce only wild grapes?" So really meditating on this and thinking about everything that Jehovah has done for all of us can really help us to avoid displeasing him, really focusing on the love and appreciation that we have for him. And we think about our student parts, we're encouraging our Bible student to overcome that obstacle of family opposition and progress towards baptism. Can be very challenging. So that was a good point we can take away too. And our Bible study, some really nice points in there. We think about Jehovah, how he sees the inner person. He reads the heart. He doesn't see what's on the outside. And his spirit can empower us to do great things. And then we look about Saul and how we have to really avoid jealousy and also respecting Jehovah's appointed men. So some really nice things we can take away from tonight's meeting. That brings us to the end of our meeting. The song that we have to sing, if you're able to stand, please stand, and we'll sing together song 4, Jehovah is my shepherd. And then we'll ask Brother Kim to close in prayer for us. Thank you.